is the Rosetta Stone. It was the key to understanding Egyptian hieroglyphics, and it is one of the most precious and valuable treasures of the British Museum.
For over 2 centuries, the Rosetta Stone has been seen as the key to decoding ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. But what if its message was never meant to be simple? New AI analysis suggests the text may carry layered meanings, one for the public, another for elites, hinting at hidden contradictions and possible political motives. Instead of a straightforward translation tool, the stone may reveal a deeper story, a carefully crafted document masking a silent negotiation between rival powers thousands of years ago. Unseen discord within the text. For 200 years, the Rosetta Stone stood as a singular key to one ancient mystery, the forgotten language of Egyptian hieroglyphics. Scholars, students, and tourists alike have accepted the idea that the stone's 3 inscriptions told precisely the same story in 3 different scripts. Yet, a revolutionary artificial intelligence analysis is challenging that assumption. Instead of confirming the harmony of all 3 versions, the AI has uncovered subtle but persistent contradictions between the hieroglyphic and Greek texts.
Given that they knew what the text in the Greek said, this would perhaps provide the key to understanding what the hieroglyphic text said as well.
These contradictions are not random errors or minor stylistic differences. They appear deliberately woven into the inscriptions, especially in the most politically charged passages. This discrepancy caught experts by surprise because, for centuries, the underlying belief was that the Greek text served as the definitive, administrative message, while the Egyptian scripts mirrored it faithfully. However, AI's pattern recognition suggested something else was at play, an unseen discord residing under the familiar text. The hieroglyphic version seemed to convey stronger, legally binding commitments regarding royal donations to temples, while the Greek text stuck to polite, routine honorifics. Such a difference implies more than a mistranslation. It hints at a layered communication, where different audiences were receiving very different messages carved into the same slab. What makes this finding remarkable is that it avoids surface-level interpretation and instead analyzes the entire trilingual inscription as a data structure. This method reveals intentional patterns. Repeated phrases in the hieroglyphic text signal legal obligations absent from the Greek, especially in sections touching on temple authority and economic rights. These are exactly the points where political power and religious influence intersect. Yet, beyond these passages, the texts align almost perfectly, reinforcing the idea that this divergence was purposeful and confined to specific themes. Importantly, this pattern repeats 17 times, always in the same political context. It's as if the stone was speaking 2 languages simultaneously, but delivering 2 distinct messages. One for the priests who controlled Egypt's vast temple economy, and another for the Greek-speaking rulers who managed the kingdom's day-to-day governance. The AI's discovery forces a reconsideration of the stone not just as a translation tool, but as a sophisticated document with multiple layers of meaning. Such a revelation raises immediate questions. Was the Rosetta Stone simply a decree, or was it a coded negotiation between competing powers? Could the inscriptions have been deliberately engineered to serve different agendas? For centuries, scholars have trusted the Greeks as the ground truth. But now, the hieroglyphs whisper a different story beneath that surface clarity. If intentional, this tactic of layered messaging suggests an advanced political strategy carried out in ink and stone long before our modern tools existed. Still, the AI's conclusions are not universally accepted. Skeptics caution against over-interpreting statistical anomalies, reminding us that formulaic repetition and rhetorical devices were common in Egyptian ceremonial writing. Distinguishing artistic convention from coded meaning is a challenge even for human experts, let alone algorithms. Yet even doubters acknowledge that the divergences flagged by AI highlight areas that traditional scholarship has not fully explained. What the AI offers is a fresh perspective, free from centuries of interpretive habit. It asks, are we hearing the full truth, or just the part that was meant for us? This question throws open the door for Egyptologists to revisit countless ancient texts and reassess the dynamics hidden within. The Rosetta Stone, it seems, may carry a secret political language still waiting to be fully understood. Beneath the layers of stone and time, a silent dialogue between power and religion unfolds, one we are only beginning to comprehend. To grasp why this matters, we must first look back to the stone's extraordinary story of discovery and decipherment, which changed our understanding of history forever. As the sun rose over the Nile, a seemingly ordinary patch of mud concealed a treasure that would rewrite ancient history. The historical puzzle of the Rosetta Stone. In July of 1799, near the Egyptian port town of Rosetta, today known as Ras Rashid, a French soldier's spade struck a hard object buried beneath the earth. It wasn't gold or a royal tomb, but a battered, broken slab of dark granodiorite covered in 3 scripts carved side by side.
Today, back in the year 1799, the Rosetta Stone is found. During Napoleon Bonaparte's Egyptian campaign, a French soldier discovered a black basalt slab.
The stone lay cracked and incomplete, missing its top and fractured along one edge. Yet tucked within its worn surface lay a mystery untouched for more than 15 centuries. The Egyptian territories became the site of Napoleon's military operation, which included scholars and scientists who worked to record the area's historical sites. European explorers developed an interest in Egypt's vanished civilization because researchers had already documented the ancient Egyptian sites. The value of this breakable piece went unrecognized until later. To the untrained eye, it was just another artifact, weathered and unremarkable. The analysis became necessary to discover its actual significance. The stone's trilingual inscription contained 3 texts which used ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, Demotic script, and ancient Greek. The Greek was critical because people still spoke the language, which allowed them to use it as a tool for decrypting both of the other languages. The 3 texts repeated the same royal decree that the priests of 21 BC issued to mark King Ptolemy V Epiphanes' coronation anniversary as they celebrated his youthful rule, which experienced governmental difficulties and social disturbances. The document announced tax reliefs, temple donations, and public honors in its basic form. The Rosetta Stone remained undecipherable for centuries because people lost their ability to read hieroglyphics after the last known reader died during the late 4th century A.D. Egyptian temples fell into disrepair through the years, and their holy texts became silent signs that could not produce any sound. The scholars of both medieval times and the Renaissance era attempted to solve the mystery of these unknown symbols, but they failed because they only saw them as decorative art, instead of recognizing that they formed a writing system with both sound-based and picture-based components. The early 19th century saw a major scientific advancement when Thomas Young and Jean-François Champollion solved the ancient Egyptian writing system. Young observed that the cartouches, which contained hieroglyphs, showed royal names that matched the names in the Greek text. The discovery proved all past theories wrong because it showed that hieroglyphics used writing systems to show both sounds and meanings.
Champollion had cracked the hieroglyphic code, perhaps the greatest code in history. The ancient mystery of hieroglyphs had been solved.
Champollion used his Coptic knowledge to develop his linguistic abilities because Coptic represented the final form of the Egyptian language, which existed in the Greek alphabet and continued through Egyptian Christian groups. Champollion announced his success in solving the code after he spent 2 years studying the subject. His work established a path into ancient Egyptian history. While the stone became a scholarly symbol of success, because it proved that ancient knowledge could be recovered. The British Museum established the Rosetta Stone as a permanent exhibit in 1802 because it had become one of the most famous artifacts in its collection. The translated text failed to deliver the expected results, even though people showed great interest in it. The inscription functioned as a common office order because it lacked any secret knowledge or religious texts. The historical document served as a fundamental resource that people considered valuable, but which proved to be less valuable than expected. The stone functioned as a linguistic instrument for 2 centuries, until people began to see it as a political document. The new information requires us to investigate whether our current understanding has limitations. If these ancient scribes were capable of layering meaning into their texts, then what does that say about the hieroglyphs themselves and the messages hidden inside? Hieroglyphics and hidden layers. Egyptian hieroglyphics are often seen as mysterious symbols, birds, eyes, serpents, and geometric shapes. But to the ancient scribes, they were far more. This was a sophisticated writing system that blended phonetic sounds, ideographic signs, and semantic clues into a single coherent language. One symbol could function simultaneously as a sound, a category marker, or an idea, depending on its context. This interlocking complexity was central to how meaning was constructed. The system operated as Egypt's main communication method for 15 centuries, which enabled the recording of royal decrees, poetry, religious texts, and scientific knowledge. The ancient scribes who achieved mastery in hieroglyphics became the most learned scholars of their time period because they completed extensive training programs. The examinees demonstrated advanced skills that went beyond basic reading ability because they possessed the ability to create different message designs that matched specific audience requirements. The concept of diglossia, using language differently for various social or political contexts, was well known in Egypt. Scribes could write so that a document conveyed one message to the general public while embedding alternative meanings for priests or royalty. A single inscription would contain multiple truths, which required specific cultural and linguistic knowledge for understanding by readers who intended to comprehend its meaning. The Ptolemaic period saw Greek-speaking rulers of Egypt who depended on native priesthood support, which controlled extensive temple economies. The delicate equilibrium required precise diplomatic work, which required both spoken communication and written records. The Rosetta Stone, which contains 3 writing systems, demonstrates this complex nature of the situation. The 3 scripts used for translation purposes provided scholars with identical messages until recent research demonstrated that they contained different meanings. The new AI analysis shows that, indeed, the hieroglyphic text contains specific political statements and legal agreements that are not found in the Greek text. Rulers used this system, which delivered multiple messages to show their political agenda to one group, while they protected the legal rights of the priestly class through sacred texts. The hieroglyphic script must have operated with the same flexibility and complexity that this theory proposes, because the Rosetta Stone inscriptions represent both a legal order and a diplomatic agreement that exists permanently in stone. This new understanding brings fresh insights into how ancient Egyptians used their language to communicate and govern their society. From the ancient scribes' subtle craftsmanship, we can glimpse a deep sophistication in how power was negotiated in stone, one that challenges what the Rosetta Stone has meant for generations. AI's unique methodological approach. The breakthrough that challenged centuries of assumptions about the Rosetta Stone came not from traditional translation methods, but from an artificial intelligence model trained to analyze the inscription structure in a wholly new way. Instead of translating the text into modern language, this AI treated the trilingual inscription as a data set, interrogating the statistical relationships between the hieroglyphic, demotic, and Greek versions simultaneously. This approach removed human bias and years of scholarly consensus from the equation, allowing the machine to flag unexpected patterns on its own terms. When the research team at University College London first ran the model, the results were quietly disorienting. They had anticipated confirmation of the established translation, a few scattered irregularities, or perhaps meaningless noise. Instead, the AI revealed consistent divergences clustered in specific passages, especially those concerning temple donations and the relationship between royal authority and priestly privilege. The fact that these anomalies repeated 17 times in a deliberate pattern suggested intention rather than error. One example stood out. In the hieroglyphic text, a particular phrase signaling legal commitment appears multiple times in close proximity, a practice common in priestly administrative documents to indicate binding clauses. Meanwhile, the Greek version employs a single, routine honorific phrase that sounds more like a formal courtesy than a legal obligation. This is not a subtle difference in wording or style. It's a fundamental divergence in meaning about the king's promises and the permanence of his gifts to the temples. Unlike traditional scholarship, which treated the three scripts as faithful translations, the AI model questioned that assumption. It asked, "Do all versions truly say the same thing?" The answer it found was no, at least not consistently, and especially not in the politically sensitive sections. By mapping statistical relationships, rather than simply converting one language to another, the AI uncovered a multi-layered narrative that had been hidden in plain sight. This method also avoids the pitfall of preconceived ideas baked into human scholarship. Even the best experts rely on centuries of interpretations, many built on partial data or outdated premises. The AI, however, operates without such legacy, scanning for patterns and flagging divergence without assuming those differences are unintentional. It highlights areas where the inscription's internal logic deviates from prior expectation, inviting scholars to reconsider long-held beliefs. Still, the model's findings come with caveats. The AI's training data inevitably reflects human scholarship, which may carry its own biases and gaps. Moreover, statistical anomalies do not always correspond to deliberate meaning. Some could be coincidences or stylistic conventions not yet fully understood. This underscores the need for multidisciplinary collaboration, combining computational methods with expert linguistic and historical insight to avoid jumping to premature conclusions. The delicate balance of power in Ptolemaic Egypt provides the perfect backdrop for this layered communication, where words carved in stone had to serve multiple masters at once: priests, pharaohs, and political negotiation. At the heart of the Rosetta Stone lies a delicate power balance between the Greek-speaking Ptolemaic rulers and Egypt's powerful priesthood. These rulers, successors of Alexander the Great's generals, governed a land where priests controlled vast temple wealth and held the key to political legitimacy. Their approval was not symbolic, it was essential for stability. To secure that support, rulers likely negotiated guarantees protecting priestly privileges. These agreements may have been embedded directly into official inscriptions. The Rosetta Stone's multiple scripts could reflect this, with hieroglyphs addressing the priestly elite in binding terms, while the Greek version presents a more formal, flexible decree for administrators. This suggests a form of layered communication, where language was tailored to different audiences. The hieroglyphic text, accessible mainly to priests, may carry stronger legal weight, while the Greek version aligns with Hellenistic bureaucratic norms. Rather than simple translation, the stone may represent strategic messaging shaped by political necessity. The deep complexity of this situation shows that Ptolemaic rulers practiced more than Egyptian traditionalism because they engaged in cultural interactions. The stone serves a dual function because it serves as a royal decree and shows the power struggle between two competing factions: Priests become powerful political players who draft decrees to protect their financial and social status, while pharaohs ruled over a kingdom that had divided cultural groups. The Ptolemaic Egypt system shows this pattern because Greek rule and Egyptian customs existed together in a state of conflict. The temple economy functioned as the main element that maintained social structure, because any disturbance to it would lead to civil disturbance. The Rosetta Stone appears to contain an agreement that was intentionally developed to achieve essential equilibrium. The inscription functions as a historical document and a tool for administrative control. The artifact contains multiple text layers, which demonstrate how language functioned as a power negotiation tool that unified religious elements with political and economic aspects. The basic translation reveals a complex narrative that shows how two cultures used tactics and power sharing to establish control over their territories. With language as a weapon and stage, the Rosetta Stone holds secrets yet to be fully understood, signaling that what we have uncovered may only scratch the surface of ancient political life. Implications and challenges ahead. The concept that the Rosetta Stone contains multiple political interpretations extends beyond its existence as a single historical object. The Ptolemaic period texts should be investigated for hidden meanings because their inscriptions function to deliver distinct messages to various audience members. The research enables scholars to investigate how ancient Egyptian societies and their Hellenistic counterparts expressed power and authority through their diplomatic practices. The current situation requires scholars to examine test results that have remained unchanged since their initial testing. The official documents that existed as complete translations between languages now reveal their hidden conflicts and secret diplomatic discussions between parties. The discovery will change our knowledge about political ties and religious power and social hierarchy in a way that equals the impact of Jean-François Champollion's decipherment. The research results show that Egyptian priests gained greater importance in their religious roles. The group operated as active political agents because they used their official position to control royal communications while safeguarding their personal assets. The research demonstrates that official decrees result from multiple power sources that operate beyond direct monarchical authority. Skepticism about the situation still exists. The ancient world contains different contexts, which critics claim make it impossible to demonstrate intent through pattern recognition. The researchers require diverse data sets together with comparative research and interdisciplinary partnerships to advance their investigation. The ongoing debate requires cautious evaluation of conclusions that need to be reached. AI adoption creates additional research issues. The system can detect patterns that human analysts cannot see, but its results need to be supported by historical and linguistic knowledge. The combination of technological innovations with traditional research methods will create new methods for studying history, which requires scholars to exercise care and maintain harmony between both fields. AI technology has discovered new patterns that previous studies were unable to detect. The evidence indicates that ancient written works contain multiple levels of meaning, which ancient authors used to create complex strategic works. The Rosetta Stone serves as a political device because its creators designed it to provide layered communication to their audience. The Rosetta Stone opened the door to ancient Egypt's language, but AI is showing us there's more to uncover beneath the words. Hidden layers reveal a complex political dialogue between rulers and priests, reminding us that history often holds deeper stories than first believed. If this sparked your curiosity, like the video and subscribe for more explorations where ancient mysteries meet modern technology.